On this channel, we have showed how many houseplant growers get their plants to their customers, including ones that are more technology-driven to others that are more hands-on. I think showing the behind the scenes is important because it lets us appreciate the hard work and the people who are helping get us the plants that fill our hearts and our sills. While I was in Lewisville, Texas, I asked Kim, the operations and shipping manager of one of my favorite houseplant growers, Steve's Leaves, to take us through the process of how they propagate, grow, and ship their plants to houseplant enthusiasts in all 50 states of the U.S. Additionally, since Steve has moved his houseplant business online to sell direct to houseplant lovers, I asked Kevin, who heads up his IT and auctions, to take us through the process and give us a little hint as to what they'll be auctioning off this week. So you'll want to stay around for that. This episode is brought to you by Green Chef, a CCOF certified organic company with dishes for every lifestyle, including keto and paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, Mediterranean, and gluten-free. Okay, so black bean burrito bowls and roasted chickpea fig and couscous. Oh, I think I'm feeling a little Southwest today. We'll go with the black bean burrito bowls. Got a green pepper here. Onion. Gonna be sauteing these up. Quite a nice little recipe we have here. Very easy to follow on the back, and should take us no more than 25 minutes. Got our black beans nice and ready. Let's get started. Green Chef has doorstep delivery with pre-portioned ingredients and pre-made sauces, easy to follow chef-crafted recipes featuring organic, sustainably sourced ingredients, and 24 weekly options to choose from, so you'll never get gastronomically bored. Just use my code SummerRayne135 to get $135 off across 5 boxes, plus free shipping on your first box. Just go to greenchef.com for more details.
So on this is our mist system. Both sides of the greenhouse in this bay is our mist system. All of our cuttings come to the mist unless they're succulent, Hoyas, euphorbia, those kinds of things. So after they're cut, they're stuck and they come to the mist where they live, depending on the time of the year. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 6 weeks. So they come here to live until they're rooted enough to be pulled off and come to the grow out area.
This is something that makes you really different, right? Because not all greenhouses are actually sticking and cutting all their own stuff and propagating their own stuff.
Right, absolutely. So that's a key difference between Steve's Leaves and many other online nurseries is that we do all of our own propagation. We bring in plugs every once in a while when we need a filler or have some space, but the majority, 98%, 99% of the plants we grow and sell are from our stock plants that we propagate from.
What's great about that too is that they're acclimatized. You could have control over them the entire stage of the game.
Right. And we get to see how they change from season to season. Begonia coloration changes significantly certain times of the year, especially since we're in Texas. We have super hot, high heat summers. And so a lot of our really, really colorful begonias, they fade. They become gray and silver and not near as pretty as they are in the fall and winter months. The philodendrons and syngoniums do the same thing. They just grow a lot quicker in the summer. So the next phase we're going to go to is where our plants then go to grow out and complete their rooting in process. So this whole bay is our ready bench. It's what's live on inventory any given week.
So this is stuff that if I purchase something, you're picking them from here.
Right, absolutely. Each one of these have been hand touched prior to being counted on our weekly inventory. So each one we know is healthy enough to ship, make it through the shipping process. But unlike people that grow plugs or grow out plugs, we don't always have replacements readily available. So sometimes, if something does happen in transit outside of our control, it does take us, 1 to 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks to wait for something that is of sufficient quality to send a replacement. So sometimes that does take a little bit of time rather than if you have to replace a plug.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
So I guess this is sort of our last phase before it comes to our customers. Just based on our greenhouse setup, we're going to go over to the next bay, and that's where things grow out. That's where after the mist, after they're rooted enough to be on the mist, or to be removed from the mist, excuse me, they come over to this bay, and that's where they continue to root in. We prune them, get them cleaned up. You know, everything doesn't look pretty like you're going to get it, you know, the whole time during its life cycle. So we have to get it ready for you guys. So here's some good examples. You know, we propagate our Cebu Blues from our mother plants, but you'll see, you know, dead leaves, ugly leaves, and while that's not the best thing to show, it's the real life of a greenhouse. It's a real life of having a plant at home. But you know, it happens here too. So that's what this bay is all of our grow out, getting things ready to come to you guys. You know, go to the next phase where it's ready to be counted. And Erin, our social media director, she's actually the one that handpicks every single plant that gets put up on inventory, and she does a great job. I mean, you know, things happen in transit, of course, but we do our best to send optimal plants in advance of them going out to you guys. We've been doing some philodendron pollination in addition to our begonias that we always have in our collection. So our Thaumatophyllum stenolobum, Ryan actually successfully hand pollinated it. So this is our mama plant, and you see the leaf size that it becomes.
I mean, it's as big as you.
It's as big as I am. And these are our babies. So these went from the whole process. Erin and I spent a long time separating the membrane from the seeds, sowing them, but they've gone from start to finish here. And from our understanding, we were the first ones in the US, at least in a long time, that have done the pollination in-house. So we're super excited to have these guys available on the website. And this is the approximate size you'll get. You know, we have a bunch in different stages of growth. We didn't sow them all at one time.
How quickly do these grow? Do you know?
We planted these in May, I want to say. I think it was May or April. So 4 months, and we're a pretty good size already.
That's what you could get behind her, folks. Very nice.
Doing it yourself is kind of cool.
And it's neat that that it actually is seed grown, because you'll get a different plant from everybody else. It's not a cutting.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're excited to have these now on the website. We get anywhere from 600 to 1,000 orders a week. Between 2,000 and 3,000 plants are going out of here every week, on top of what's being picked up from local customers. So our process after the paperwork side of things, the orders come here to Josh, and he's gonna pull the plants associated with the order. And this whole bay, other than the monsteras, are our ready bench. And auctions, you know, those are specific, but 3/4 of this bay is everything that's on inventory. So he goes through based on the order and pulls the specific plant. Every Friday, our website clears at 11 Central Time and reloads at 4 o'clock Central Time. And that's because we actually hand touch each and every one of the plants before we count them on inventory to make sure there's sufficient quality. That's how we are able to keep the quality and size and all of that of our plants that come to you guys pretty standard. You know, we try not to get a tiny plant and a huge plant. Try to get them all around the same size, and that's what's happening now. He's pulling the plants associated with the order.
I think what's really wonderful is that folks always comment about how nice Steve's Leaves plants are, and I think part of that is because what you're saying, you hand touch every single plant.
Right,
You know?
and another big difference between us and other online sellers, I think, is that we propagate all of our plants. 98% of our plants we propagate. We do bring in some plugs, like right now we have alocasias in stock that we brought in from plugs, but everything else you see here has been hand propagated by our employees, cut from our stock plants. So we know the health of the plant, we know where it came from, you know, we know how old the mother plant is, and we're able to ensure quality by doing that. So then Josh takes our baskets of plants, and Josh is gonna bring the order out to our shipping house.
Look at this whole thing behind here. I don't remember this.
Right, this is new, since you were here last time for sure. So this is where we do all of our shipping. This used to be a shade house. So Josh pulls the order and it comes here for where it sits until everything gets shipped in turn. So we're not gonna ship that one that we just pulled. That's gonna go last. But we have Brendan here and Rochelle over here wrapping. He's doing our famous Squirrel Marks Fantasies. Well, not ours, we didn't make it, but we were one of the first people to sell it. Certain plants need certain things. So the burrow marks with the one sturdy stem, we always put a bamboo stake in it to make sure it doesn't, even if it does get banged in transit, we don't break a tip or anything like that. And so this order, he matches the plants that Josh pulled against what's on the paperwork, and then he wraps them up, and then it goes on down the assembly line. And Rochelle is doing the same thing. She's looking at her order, but she's gonna select the plants from the order, match it up, and then she's gonna put that. It's gonna come down the line, as you see. And then Cameron's gonna box it up. We'll get him started on a new one. And typically, Monday through Wednesday, there's 6 people wrapping, 2 people boxing, and someone labeling, shipping the orders. So after we get the package wrapped, Cameron's gonna then do a match again. He's gonna do a double check to make sure the plants that they wrapped are the plants that are supposed to be in that box. He's gonna select the appropriate box size for the number of plants and size of plants. And Cameron's our newest addition, but he has been a rock star so far. So we're super excited. So we have plants in the box. He's gonna put the order paperwork, a what to do card.
Amazing.
And then fill it with the packing paper. Depending on the time of year, you know, we're getting ready to go into the winter months. So we'll be doing polyfill lining, heat packs, you know, depending on the temperatures when customers decide they need winter shipping assurance. So the boxing process takes a little bit longer in the winter, but other than that, everybody else's process is the exact same. The only orders that come out here are the ones that have been checked for temperatures, and we know they're good to go.
Yeah, you've always been really good. If I ordered something in the winter months, you'll be like, hey, I'm gonna hold off for a couple weeks.
Right.
Until the weather warms up.
Right, just to be safe. We try not to ship below 18-ish. But yeah, and then it comes on down the assembly line, and then it gets over here, and we're a USDA certified facility, so we're inspected by the Texas Department of Agriculture for certain states. So we're allowed to ship to all 50 states, and we have stickers, authorization, certification numbers to do so. So for example, we have a Florida. So you have to be certified in the state of Florida, and that means someone's actually come in, made sure we didn't have pests, made sure we didn't have fire ants because they're invasive in a lot of areas, certain things in our greenhouse so that you know that we're not going to have the weevils and the things like that in plants that you sometimes get because we are inspected a couple times a year.
The other thing that really helps is that when you are propagating your own stuff, you're not constantly bringing it in.
Right, absolutely.
From outside,
absolutely.
You are better at keeping your pests at bay.
For sure. And while we are a greenhouse, we have a pest management program. To not bring them in the first place makes a huge difference. Anytime we do bring plants in, like Ryan's bringing in anthuriums so that he can do his hybridization and things with them, They're always quarantined. I think he does 14 days, might even be longer than that. And they're thoroughly inspected to make sure that they're good to go. We don't typically bring in things from overseas. One, the shipping is just super stressful for the plants. It's a difficult, you have to time it perfectly if you do, it being in Texas, because shipping Scindapsus in the dead of summer or the dead of winter, you never know what our temperatures are going to do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially this past year.
Right.
Crazy. You had like really low lows and really high highs.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We certainly did. Last winter was tough.
Yeah.
You know, we had that Ice-mageddon, I think they called it.
Yeah.
But this year we had a little one, but not near as bad. So that's it. It comes here. FedEx comes and they get labeled. All of our packages will have live plant stickers on them with our USDA certification number that's specific to Steve's Leaves. So if you ever get a box that has that sticker and it didn't come from us, somebody's doing something wrong. But so that's our specific number. If a package is ever kept by any of the states for any reason, that's how they know to get in touch with us. That's specific to this greenhouse. Once a day, FedEx comes and picks up all of our packages, and then they go from here directly to a distribution facility. So they're not sitting in a truck driving around for hours and hours and hours. They pick us up, their last run of the day, and it goes directly to the distribution center. For our USPS packages, we only warranty those that are going to Hawaii and Alaska. But for customers who do decide to ship USPS, we do the personal run to the post office and drop them off. But once it gets there, unfortunately, it's out of our hands. It's the postal service. So we always recommend you ship with FedEx. And 3/4 of our customers do ship with FedEx for that security.
Kevin, like most employees, has done a wide range of jobs while at Steve's Leaves. But since they have moved their business online, he squarely works on their IT side and manages their famous weekly houseplant auctions. You know, now that Steve has moved into, almost strictly an online business, especially with the auctions and like people just buying the regular plants online, I mean, you have a huge role here.
I do, yeah. Especially because I'm the only one doing most of that stuff, so sometimes I do feel the pressure there.
I mean, it's strange because it might not be the, in a way, the most photogenic of it because you're sitting behind a computer, right? But it's so integral to the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy when I get to come out here. I mean, this is where I come out and take pictures and everything. That's usually when I'm in the greenhouse. And I mean, when I first started, I was doing propagation also. So I've done, shipping, packing, wrapping, propagating. I used to propagate all the begonias. And I actually we kind of changed the way we propagated them when I first started. So I moved them all up into hanging baskets. But, as the business progressed, they needed me more fully on the online side, so that's what I do now. My notebook is very important for auctions, keeping track of all the numbers, all the plants, especially because we do 30 auctions at a time twice a week, so that's 60 auctions a week at least. So keeping track of that, and if customers have questions, I'm there to answer them and pull the auctions once they're paid for and everything. So yeah, it's important to keep it all organized.
Employees are encouraged to do their own hybridizing at Steve's Leaves, and Kevin is no exception. Before we got into the BTS of the auctions, we got sidetracked and saw the begonia hybridizing he was doing.
I didn't know anything about begonias when I started working here, and now they're one of my favorite plants. And I do a little bit of hybridizing here too. I have a few in the works that have sprouted, so that's pretty exciting to me. Yeah, it's just a constant learning process. So this is my first successful cross. I've done quite a few that sometimes they just don't germinate. Sometimes they germinate, but they don't make it past that. So this is a cross of gray nurse and Liniciorum. So Liniciorum was the pollen plant and gray nurse was the mother plant, or whatever the terminology is. So it's interesting to see the different combinations of traits that you get from a single cross.
Right.
So
look at the dots.
yes,
and
these
some of
pink
them are
dots
pink.
were a surprise to me.
Yeah.
So, and this silver color I really love, but we also got some with these just dark leaves, and some are green. So these two are actually my favorite so far. These pink dots, like I said, were kind of a surprise. I don't know if maybe they show up on Grey Nurse occasionally. Yeah. And I really am a fan of like the peltate leaf, the entire like round leaf. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to hybridize a lot of those, and getting different colors and patterns on those kind of leaves is something that I'm kind of interested in. So yeah, I'm really happy with how these have turned out so far. But we still have like the culling process to go through. We choose the best ones and we grow them out and we make sure that they propagate well, grow well. You know, customers will be able to grow them in their house. So it'll be a while before any of these are named or released, but they're coming.
And I guess you get a chance to name them.
Yeah.
That's an exciting, would that be the first plant that you name?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, I have some stuff in mind, but I'm going to keep them to myself for now.
Yeah, for sure. And then what are some of the other things? You said begonias have become your favorite and now you're hybridizing them. Mm-hmm. What is it about like the begonias that you absolutely love?
I really like the diversity among them, just the patterns, the shapes, the colors, and the fact that a lot of them can be crossed with each other. So it's this kind of exciting process of seeing which traits from which parent it's going to get, especially when you start crossing hybrids with other hybrids, because then recessive genes can come out. There are a lot of surprises. It's just very interesting to me, and I like trying to cross stuff that is kind of different for a begonia. For example, I've been trying to pollinate some plants with Begonia lanceolata, which has like a long lanceolate leaf, which is very uncommon for begonias. It doesn't look quite like a begonia, so to me, I'm excited to see how that would combine with like, you know, a Rex begonia with a spiral leaf or something like that, because you just never know.
It's the spontaneity of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. And then having to wait a little while, huh?
Yeah. I'm like checking on them every day, like, has this sprouted yet? And, you know, they look the same from day to day, but you see, you know, those little changes and stuff coming up. So when I'm choosing, I usually start with the monsteras. And this is the ready bench, where I come and choose which ones I'm going to put up for the day. Not all of them might be fully rooted or something yet, so I have to check them carefully. This one's a little loose. Usually when I'm kind of just scanning the monsteras, I'm looking for like a newly unfurled leaf, because that tells me that it's rooted, it's happy, it's growing, it's ready to go out.
And are you always auctioning off monsteras? Is that like a common one that you always auction off?
Yes, so we usually do 5 or 6 at a time, every time. So it's like 10 to 12 a week. And I try to get the taller ones out of here first, so I'm like, this stands out to me here. It's a really beautiful leaf. It's taller than the rest. It's obviously been growing. And so I just pull it out. It's very nicely rooted. So this would be, you know, a very good candidate for going up today. Okay.
I'm less good at walking backwards and sonder.
This is where I take the photos. And this has actually been improved over the years also. When I first started, the shelf was about this big. So putting these big monsteras, they're like right up against the backdrop and causing a bunch of shadows I didn't like. And I was using my phone, which isn't great for like lower cloudy lighting, in my opinion. So things have gotten a lot better. The first picture I take of any plant is with this very lovely scale.
People really want to know the size of their plant.
Yes. I mean, we want to be, you know, as straightforward and honest as possible. We're not trying to mislead anyone into thinking a plant is bigger than it is. So the scale is very important. And then this is where I'll start photographing it from a few different angles. And I try to get enough pictures to kind of, you know, give the full idea, full story of the plant, how many leaves it has, how variegated it is, because, you know, people want to see that when they're bidding on a monstera. I guess I can show you the auction bench of all the stuff that's currently up for auction or waiting to be shipped out. So this is where the auction plants come once they've been photographed and are ready to be put up or have been put up. So everything you see here is either up right now or, is up last week or earlier this week and is waiting to be paid for and shipped out.
So these are ones that are sold already?
Not necessarily all of them yet, because people have to win the auction and then pay for them, which they don't always do.
So then to just go back on the auction?
Yeah, they have 7 days to pay, and then if not, they'll get an email about it. But yeah, I'll just put it back up.
People's eyes are too big for their pocketbooks sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I guess you just get caught in that bidding war.
Yeah.
And there's the auto bidding system, so they can set a max bid, and occasionally someone will put an extra 0 or something and pay a lot more than they meant to. So I mean, it happens, and it's not a huge deal.
So which one do we have here?
So this is Philodendron uepii. Only the second time we've auctioned one, so it's pretty exciting. We don't have a lot in the building. Probably be a while before we have another one.
Is it hard to propagate? Is that part of the reason why? Just takes a little while?
I think it's a slow grower, yeah, and we mostly can just get the top cuts off of it.
So this one is going to be ready for basically this Friday.
Yeah, it's going up this Friday. And like I said, it's the only one that we're going to have for a while. So if you're looking for a uepii, here's your chance.
You see it here. It's not like they have a giant bench of uepii. They have a giant bench of more Monstera albos. But
yeah, it's almost hard to let this one go, but more will be on the way.
Well, the only way to not let it go is to bid on it. Steve's Leaves was gracious enough to give our viewers 15% off. So you could feel free to use the code SummerRayne15 for a discount. That's SUMMERRAYNE15, or head over to the website at stevesleaves.com/SummerRayne15. If you're interested in learning more about houseplant care and maintenance, you could check out our suite of online courses from Houseplant Basics to the Houseplant Masterclass. All of that can be accessed on our websites at homesteadbrooklyn.com and houseplantmasterclass.com. Additionally, if you're curious about what we're sowing and growing at our new communal homestead, then check out our sister channel over at Flock Finger Lakes. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.